When a ship's crew member or a passenger falls in the water, it is called a man overboard situation. Man overboard situations are dangerous because most of the times they are fatal. Why? Mainly because turning or stopping a ship at sea is not easy. On top of that, if the sea is rough, it is always difficult to locate the person gone overboard. A person can go overboard from a ship because of several reasons, such as swept overboard by waves, pulled by mooring ropes into the sea, falling from the accommodation ladder, slipping while climbing onto or sitting on the ship's railings, falling under the influence of alcohol or drugs, working in low visibility or in rough sea conditions, taking pictures or selfies in restricted areas. No matter what the reason may be, it is the priority of the ship's crew to save the life of the person gone overboard. So how do ships carry out the rescue? Ship personnel are specially trained for such rescue operations. But the initial and early sighting of the fallen person plays a very important role in increasing the percentage of saving his or her life. Either way, all actions must be taken extremely fast without any delay to save the life of the person fallen overboard. The general procedure during man overboard situation. As soon as it is known about the man overboard situation, someone will shout man overboard on starboard or port side to inform others. Then change over to hand steering from autopilot and the wheel is turned hard over to the respective side. Man overboard marker, which is buoyant with a self-igniting light and a self-activating smoke signal, is released from the side of the bridge wing to which the man overboard has occurred. Man overboard button on the GPS is pressed to mark the position of the casualty for future reference. 3 prolonged blasts are sounded to let the master and the crew know about the emergency situation. Supplement this with the appropriate man overboard flag. More people are assigned to locate and keep a track of the person gone overboard. The general alarm is then sounded on the ship's whistle to alert everybody to proceed to stations. This is to ensure that if the crew has not understood 3 prolonged blasts for a man overboard, they are alerted regardless and proceed to muster stations to assist in the recovery of the person. Man overboard situation is then announced on the ship's public announcement system. The engine room crew is then immediately informed about the situation so that they are prepared for any maneuvering if required. As far as man overboard maneuvering is concerned, there are 3 common methods that are followed at sea. They are the Williamson turn, the Anderson turn or single turn, and the Chernow turn. Now let's take a look at each of them in brief. The Williamson turn. The Williamson turn is the most commonly used maneuver in the event of a person gone overboard. For this, the rudder is turned hard over towards the side from which the man went overboard. This is done to reduce the chances of the vessel's propeller striking the man overboard. If the rudder is turned in the opposite direction of man overboard, there are high chances of ship hitting the person overboard. After deviation from the original course by 60 degrees, the rudder is then put hard over to the opposite side. When the heading is 20 degrees short of the reciprocal course, the rudder is brought to the midship position. Williamson turn is the most ideal method in reduced visibility. If executed properly, it positions the ship on a reciprocal course on its exact original track, thereby allowing the search to commence on the track the victim fell over and not from a parallel track. However, it is important that the speed is maintained during this turn, as any changes in the speed may bring the ship on a reciprocal course in a different position than the line of the initial course. Anderson or single turn. This is the fastest recovery method and the most appropriate one for a ship in clear visibility. In case of this turn, the rudder is put hard over to the side of the casualty. When clear of the person, go ahead full, still using the full rudder. After deviation from the original course by 240 degrees, the rudder is put to midship position. Stop the engines when the target point is 15 degrees off the bow. Ease the rudder and back the engines as required. The Chernow turn. In the Chernow turn, the ship is taken back into her wake and it cannot be used in an immediate maneuver. This turn cannot be carried out effectively unless time elapses between the person falling overboard and the commencement of the maneuver is known. For this turn, the rudder is put hard over onto the side of the casualty to swing stern away from the man overboard. After deviation from the original course by 240 degrees, rudder is put hard over to the opposite side. When the heading is 20 degrees short of the reciprocal course, the wheel is brought to the midship position. Once the ship is brought to the reciprocal course, the speed of the ship is reduced and the preparations are done to launch a rescue boat. It might not be possible to launch a rescue boat during rough sea conditions. In such cases, alternative recovery methods are followed, such as passing lines to the man overboard so that they can be pulled alongside the ship. For this, rescue throw lines and heaving lines are used. Or using buoyant appliances such as life buoys or inflated life rafts are also deployed on secure lines and then pulled back to the ship. If none of these options are feasible, the ship is put on standby until a helicopter rescue vessel arrives. The officer in charge will also send out an urgency signal on all the communication systems to let ships in the vicinity know about the situation. Once the person is rescued, the rescue boat, if used, must be picked up upon arrival close to the ship along with the lifebuoy and hoisted back. Immediate first aid is provided to the person and an urgency signal is sent out to cancel the last transmitted man overboard alert. Appropriate entries are made in the ship's logbook and the master of the ship carries out an inquiry on the man overboard incident. When someone falls overboard, it is an unexpected and difficult situation. Even the best swimmers can become disoriented when they unexpectedly fall into the sea. At such moments, there is no time to think and decisive action is of primary importance. Ship's crew cannot cope with such a situation unless they are fully prepared for such situations, and therefore drills are conducted frequently on board all types of vessels.